Question 11 then, and I hope your concentration isn't flagging because this question is all about concentration. So 11a, we've got a technician and they have decided to dissolve 2.4 grams of a substance, calcium nitrate, in 2 decimeters cubed of distilled water. We've just been asked to calculate the concentration of the solution in grams per decimeter cubed. Now, just so you're aware, before I do anything, this unit here is exactly the same as writing grams per decimeter cubed this way. Okay, they're just two different ways of writing the same unit. Now, looking at the unit, that can help us to actually define what concentration is and derive the calculation, because it's in grams per decimeters cubed. So concentration can be calculated by taking the mass of whatever you're dissolving. So the word we use to describe something that's being dissolved in a solvent is the solute, and that's in grams, and we're dividing that by the volume of the solution that you're going to end up with. So the volume of solvent or the volume of solution that you are forming. And that is given in decimeters cubed. Now, just so you're aware, 1 decimeter cubed is exactly the same as 1 litre. Okay, so when we talk about decimeter cubed, it's just another way of saying a litre. So with this in mind, we're told we've got 2.4 grams of calcium nitrate. We're told we've got 2 decimeters cubed of distilled water, so we can just do 2.4 divided by 2, and that will give us an answer of 1.2 grams per decimeter cubed. And that is your final answer. That's your concentration, and that will get you 1 mark if you got that. 11b is slightly different. This time we're told that a solution was made up by dissolving 4.0 grams of ammonium chloride, so I'll make a note of that mass because that will be useful. So 4.0 grams, and it's been dissolved in 500 centimeters cubed of water, and I need to calculate the concentration of this solution once again in grams per decimeters cubed. Now, you might notice a slight issue here, and that this question is worth more marks than the last one. I am not given a volume in centimeters cubed. In decimeters cubed. I've been given it in centimeters cubed. So what I need to do is I need to convert centimeters cubed into decimeters cubed. Now, you'll remember a second ago I said that 1 decimeter cubed is the same as 1 litre. 1 centimeter cubed is equal to 1 milliliter. Okay? So what that means is that if I've got 1 decimeter cubed, that is equal to 1,000 centimeters cubed, because 1 litre contains 1,000 millilitres. So if I want to convert decimeters cubed to centimeters cubed, so going this way, I need to times by 1,000. But if I want to go the other way and convert centimeters cubed into decimeters cubed, I need to divide by 1,000. So in this case, because I've got 500 centimeters cubed, I need to divide this value by 1,000 to find out the volume in decimeters cubed. Now, if I do that, that will give me an answer of 0.500 decimeters cubed. And if you've done that conversion, you can have a mark. Now we're just going to substitute the rest of our values into the concentration equation we used last time. So the mass is equal to 4.0 grams. The volume is equal to 0.500 decimeters cubed, and that will give us a final answer of 8 grams per decimeter cubed. If you got that, that is your second mark. 11c, again, we see a similar kind of question, but there is a difference. So a student wants to make up a solution with this concentration. So we've been given the concentration already this time, 3.0 grams per decimeter cubed. And we're told that the student has got 800 centimeters cubed of water. And we need to calculate the mass of the potassium sulfate they will need to make. So if we want to know the mass this time, that is what it is we want to calculate. So first things first, you'll notice our volume once again is in centimeters cubed. So we want to convert that straight away to decimeters cubed, and the way that we do that, as we said before, was to divide it by 1,000. If you do that, you get 0.800 decimeters cubed. If you've done that, you can have a mark. Okay? So now we need to look at our equation. It's concentration equals mass divided by volume. I want this value on its own. So in order to do that, I need to rearrange the equation and I need to move the volume to the other side of the equation. Now, because we're currently dividing by volume, I can do the opposite function to move it over here, and that is to multiply it. So that means, therefore, that concentration times volume will give me my mass. So with that in mind, my concentration is 3.0, my volume is 0.800, and if I do that multiplication, I will get an answer of 2.4 grams of potassium sulfate needed. And there is your second mark for that question. Finally, in this part, we move on to 11D. So we're calculating this time the volume of distilled water, and we want it in centimeters cubed that will be needed to make up a 1.5 grams per decimeter cubed salt solution. So we've got a concentration of 1.5 grams per decimeter cubed, and we're using 0.375 grams of sodium chloride. So let's figure out what we need to do here. Well, concentration, we've already said, is equal to mass over volume. We want to find the volume this time, but that's on the bottom of a fraction, so that's going to be very difficult to do anything with, so we want to rearrange our equation. So what we're going to want to do is multiply both sides of the equation by volume, like we did in the previous part. Volume times concentration equals mass. And what I'm then going to do is I'm going to do concentration needs to be moved because the volume is the thing we want on its own. So I'm going to divide both sides by concentration because it's the opposite function to multiply. So we end up with V equals M over C, mass divided by concentration. So if we plug the numbers in, 0.375 is my mass. I'm dividing that by the concentration, which is 1.5. That gives me an answer of 0.250 decimeters cubed. And if you got that, well done, you get a mark. And what I need to do now is, remember in the question, it said that it wants it in centimeters cubed. So I need to multiply this number by 1,000 to get my final answer. And my final answer will be 250 centimeters cubed. And you'll get a tick for that and a mark. So there you go. That's how to do calculations involving concentration.